Thanks so much for listening to No Lions Here with me, Big Panda. Hey guys, I do want to give a heads up on this episode. I just got done recording and then I went into the editing process and realized that in setting things up, there was some bad lighting. So I moved some things around. I unplugged some things, plugged some things back in. And when I did that, it did not set up the computer for the microphone. So the computer recorded my voice and not the microphone. So, yeah, hoping in the editing process that this can come out a little smooth, and it doesn't sound as bad. But just heads up, guys. In setting things up in the new way. So hope that you still enjoy. Please still listen, and I'll get it right on the next time. All right, guys. Thank you. Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to No Lions Here. My name is Big Panda, and I'm a recovering sex addict. Before we jump into the episode today, I just want to give a shout out to my sponsor for the show. That is Begin Again Institute out in Boulder, Colorado, Berthoud, Colorado. If you or anyone you know or love is suffering from sex or porn addiction, definitely go check them out. But I believe heavily in what they're doing, and I'm a product of their program. Their program gave me the running start that I needed for my own recovery from sexual addiction. So definitely go check them out. They are a sponsor for the show. So do me a favor, their information will be in the description below. So do me a favor, definitely go check them out. Go like them on socials. And again, if you just got questions, man, like make the call. Make the call. Again, that was one of the best things that I ever did. They got back to me really quickly. I actually got online and filled out their like contact me page, and they got back to me I think within the hour. I still remember that phone call with them, so definitely again go check them out, guys. I have had a bunch of their therapists on, so some really good, just really overall like good human beings out there, and I'm really grateful to be connected with them. So definitely go check them out. And yeah, welcome back to the show. As you can see around me, if you're watching on YouTube, definitely go to Spotify and follow us, and turn the notifications on. And if you're listening to us on Spotify, again, you can see the video there, but also go over to our YouTube page and give us a subscribe and a follow as well. That just helps me spread the message, right? Um, I'm doing this to spread the message, spread the awareness around sexual addiction, in kind of what that looks like in our lives. And what really helps me is when people subscribe, and then also to share. If you like what you're hearing, like please share with somebody. Again, I know they don't have to be in recovery or anything like that. I think that there's a lot in here. I just actually shared this with a cousin of mine who shared that he was kind of struggling. He had made a Facebook post. Cousin, if you're listening, shout out to you, man. He like made a Facebook post, like basically just getting vulnerable, talking about like feeling lonely and scared, sad. It's a really vulnerable post. And then I applaud that because I think as guys we need more vulnerability in our lives, and so he shared that, and I actually reached out to him and was just like, hey man, like thanks for sharing. If nothing else, man, I just like thanks for sharing. I see you and I hear you. And oh, here by the way, like here's the podcast. Not saying I even said in my message, I said, look, man, I'm implying anything. He had made a comment about like in there about like relationships kind of stuff. Basically letting people go over like simple flaws. And so I said, hey man, look, like I'm not implying anything, but hey, like maybe you can connect to some of the things that I'm talking about, right? Again, yes, this is spreading the awareness around like sexual addiction and what that looks like, and that there's resources and that we can recover from this thing. And this is also too just for anybody that's struggling or going through it. This is again just trying to share vulnerably with like where I'm at. So again, cousin, if you're listening to it, just shout out to you, man. I'm thinking about you, praying for you, and all that good stuff. But as you can see, so with all that being said, right? So as you can see, I'm in a different setup today. This is my new bedroom. I guess not officially yet. But the move is happening here, and this is the day after Thanksgiving. So happy Thanksgiving! Hope everybody had a good Thanksgiving. But yeah, this will be my official. This will be my bedroom. You know, actually, here in a couple weeks. Here in a couple weeks, we're like officially moving. So I definitely want to get into kind of what's been going on with that. There's been some things that have kind of popped up for me around that. But on Thanksgiving, right? I hope that everybody had a really nice Thanksgiving. And we've got round two tomorrow. So yesterday I had Thanksgiving with my brothers and my mom, and yeah, it was really nice. I definitely I went into Thanksgiving. I don't know, the week leading up to Thanksgiving is when kind of the brothers started to roll in, and it's so interesting, man. Like whenever I get into that spot and those spaces, like I can feel my nervous system, like the walls going up, and thinking that, I already had like conversations playing on in my head about the quote unquote maybe the arguments or the disagreements that we were gonna have, and like I don't know, that just it doesn't serve me well when I like buy into those things. And I watched this short recently where a guy was like, if you find yourself having those kind of like those argumentative conversations in your head, like remind yourself that that person's not here. And he was saying that like our brain can't tell the difference between like, so if I have an argument going on in my head with say me and just someone else, right, just another person, that our brain can't distinguish between, is this actually going on, that this person's not actually here in front of us. And so when I find, because I do that so much, raise your hand if that's you. Like, um, I do that so often, and it can just like it keeps those walls up. It keeps the nervous system kind of like on edge a little bit. And so I've been trying to do that when I noticed it, because I can almost like notice it in real time. And so now it's like, okay, hey, like that person's not here. We're not actually having that conversation right now. It's all good. And honestly, like that has really really helped me over the last few weeks with that. And also part of that too is there's apparently there's some scientific, and again, this is not my expertise. I'm not, well, feeling wheel, the feelings. I love the feelings. If you know me, if you followed me, right, my brand is the feelings. Get in touch with the feelings. But apparently, per science, there is um, the chemical release for emotions lasts 90 seconds. So if I get triggered, right, and I feel anxious or scared, that chemical release really only lasts for 90 seconds. If I do nothing and I allow those feelings to pass, 90 seconds. So what we do though is we tell ourselves a narrative or a tape, or maybe I jump into one of those like not real conversations, and then essentially like it keeps that dump going. So now I'm just kind of on this emotional loop, this emotional chemical release. And part of my cycle is in those moments where like I'm having that argumentative conversation in my head with somebody that isn't there, that isn't real, that isn't necessarily going to happen. Because I see it as a way of, I'm like preparing myself. Well, first and foremost, like I'm preparing myself for something that I don't even know is going to happen. And then just to see how worked up I get over it too. Like again, it does not serve me at all, but man, I get so worked up when that happens. And so again, like what can I do for myself in those moments of like not keeping myself self? So I go from 90-second release to, well, maybe I'm replaying or I'm buying into the tapes or the narratives, right? And it keeps it going, right? Like if I get scared or sad around like not feeling good enough, then, and I buy into that tape, when that tape pops up, then yeah, I mean, that's just gonna fuel that. That's just gonna fuel that cycle. Even just talking about it, that's gonna fuel that cycle. So now it goes from 90 seconds to, well, now I'm stuck in this loop for an hour. Now I'm stuck in this loop for 3 hours. Right now I'm stuck in this loop for half a day. Now I'm stuck in this loop for an entire day. And so I'm trying to be really a lot more mindful around that. Just because I think the more that we see and the more that I can attempt to kind of break those cycles, right? I believe that that's the work that I need to be doing. Not only does that help me recover, but it also just helps me kind of heal the nervous system. Because what happens when we get stuck in those 1 hour, 3 hour, half a day, whole day long cycles of that chemical emotional release is I need relief. I need relief from this thing, especially so if this is somebody, early on in recovery, we're teaching them like, hey, use the tools, and maybe they can endure through that cycle for an hour, 3 hours, maybe half the day, right? But if that cycle continues, or I don't know that, like, hey, I need to be more mindful and I need to stop playing into these tapes and it just let it give me 90 seconds and this thing will pass, right? Like, then I mean I can easily send somebody back into a relapse, right? Because I'm a firm believer that we use to calm or fix our emotions. Because again, we kind of get stuck in these loops. I know that I do. And talk about like being stuck in the loop, right? Like, so I'm moving, and this is a really good segue into this. So I'm moving, right? And so the move in itself, like moving from my mom's house to down here into Farmington, and then with the girlfriend Beanie and her daughter, that's known, right? So that's known. I'm excited. We just bought a new couch. Couches are expensive these days. Hey, Bassett Furniture, if you're listening, I'd love to get a sponsorship or a promo so that like some people can get some discounts on some couches because, geez, that couch is expensive. And so we're waiting for that to come in. But that's exciting, right? I bought a TV mount. I'm bringing my TV down. We're gonna mount my TV and this new couch and like with like this whole setup, right? I've got it's funny, I've got a step ladder over here, I've got a chair here in front of me, like I'm hooking things onto it, and so we're going to be setting up like we have got a spare bedroom that we're going to set up as an office, and that's going to be like the permanent podcasting studio, also kind of like where I'll be doing some work, and so like the move in itself like is exciting. I'm excited to move down here. I'm excited to get into this way of life. This excited to help out around the house. One of the things that like I want to do for Beanie is she's a single parent, and she's in school right now, and also trying to like keep up with the household stuff, and like I'm really excited to come down and I can help with those things. Right, like I got in last night. I did Thanksgiving with the family, which again, like I took this perspective of going into Thanksgiving, I'm going to have fun and I'm going to enjoy myself. And honestly, like, yeah, I definitely struggle with giving some family members some grace and compassion. Like, I really do struggle with that. And I was able to like have fun and just enjoy myself. And then it was kind of nice, at the end of the day, it was like, okay, cool. Like, I'm out. I'm headed down to Farmington. So I got to come down to Farmington last night, and I got here, and I realized like, oh, the dog needs to be fed, the cat needs to be fed. Like, okay, it's just me here waiting for Beanie to get off work. You know what? Let me feed the animals. So I fed the animals. I'm excited to come down and help out with those kinds of things. So like the move in itself isn't necessarily like, it's scary, don't get me wrong. However, like it's known though, right? Like it's not this unknown, right? I'm moving. So the unknown part of all of this. So I think when I first originally brought this up, right, I brought this up in the sense of like I'm going part time at the treatment center at IRC, and that's all good, and that's all good. That's planned. That's good to go. Well, um, I applied for a job down in Farmington at Southeast Missouri Mental Health Center. So essentially, it's a mental institution, and they had a listing for a part-time job that required a peer certification, and I have a peer certification. So I applied and didn't really think anything of it, and then they called me back, and I set up an interview, and actually I went in and I interviewed on Halloween. So I interviewed on Halloween and went in, and it was really interesting. It was really interesting. The room was tiny, and there were five of us in this room, five of us in this room, and it's tiny, and they had like this worksheet in front of them, and they all like went around and like they asked me questions, and then whenever oh my god, and then whenever they got done asking me the question and I answered, they all like wrote their answers down. So it was really interesting. So they'd ask me a question, I'd answer it, and then it would just be silent, and they'd be filling out, they'd be writing my answer down. So it was interesting, right? And like I interviewed well, and at one point in time, I got everybody in the room laughing, and that feels good. And so basically, they're like, okay, hey, like here's what the pay is. It's 19 hours a week, 19 and a half hours, or 39 hours spread across a 2 week period. So they're like, hey, if you wanted to work all 39 hours in 1 week and then have the other week off, like you could do that. Basically, it's like pick your own hours. That's pretty cool. They pay for it to help me recertify and all that good stuff. So it's a state job. I mean, it's 5 minutes up the road. So okay, it's cool. So they're like, hey, well, at the end of next week, we'll get a hold of you and let you know. So I said, all right, sounds good. Well, that was Halloween. The following week came and went. Didn't hear from them. The following week came and went. Didn't hear from them. I, at this point in time, I'm thinking, well, maybe I should reach out to them. Well, it's almost that like, what's that? I don't know whose theory this is, but it's like the cat in the box, right? There's a cat in a box, and we don't know if the cat's alive or dead. The only way to find out is if by opening the box. Well, I don't. Sometimes I don't want to open the box. Sometimes I don't want to know if the cat's alive or dead. All I know is that the cat's in this box. Well, and that's kind of like the approach that I took to it. Now I'm an avoidant on things. I didn't hear from them. Didn't hear from them. So they told me that someone was going to reach out to me, and nobody did. And so I'm thinking, well, great. Well, if I call them now, instead of it just being like, hey, I didn't hear from them, okay. If I call them, it's going to be a live rejection from somebody else on the other end of the phone. This is my way of thinking, right? Well, you know what? I'm not going to call them, man, because you know what? It's all good. I didn't call. I didn't get the job. I still have a part-time job. That was the whole plan. Okay, that's fine. I'll just work at IRC. It's all good. I'm grateful that I have a job. Awesome. Well, then, this was probably about a week and a half ago. Yeah, probably about a week and a half ago. I get a text message, and the text message said, "Hey, Alexander, this is so and so from Southeast Missouri Mental Health. I got your information. I'm reaching out. Please call me at your earliest convenience. I need to set up a time to do a background check." And I'm like, "Wait, what? What?" So again, I haven't heard from y'all. I wrote this job off. Now you guys are getting back to me. Okay, all right. So what do I'm so basically okay? Let's make some phone calls. So I called the number that texted me. They didn't answer. Well, then I called the guy that interviewed me. He didn't answer. So the following day, that was kind of like at the end of the day. On that, it was a Tuesday. So the next day, I call and I call this guy that interviewed me. And he answered, and I said, "Hey man, was Alex Kaiser?" And he was like, "Yeah, hey, what's up, man?" I was like, "Hey, I got this text from so and so." And he was like, "Oh yeah, yeah, you're the candidate that we picked." He's like, so and so was supposed to reach out to you. Did they not reach out to you? And I was like, "No, man, they didn't reach out to me." He's like, "Oh," he's like, "Man, I'm sorry. Yeah, you're the candidate that we picked, so you're good." I said, "Okay, I'll wait for He said, I'll run down and get them to get on it so they can call you and get things set up." And I said, "All right, cool, man, sounds good." So then, sure enough, I got a call back from this lady, and so we're basically we're furthering along the process, and so I haven't gotten an official offer yet. Basically, it's all contingent on my background check. Basically, they're fingerprint me, and they're looking to see if I have any violent crimes. Well, I don't. So essentially, I'm gonna get the job. I'm gonna get offered the job, and then but I wouldn't start that job until like January 5th. We were looking at like middle December, but like I just middle December doesn't work for me, with the move because again in 2 weeks I'm moving, and that's gonna be like the middle of December. So basically we settled on January 5th. So when I got this news, right? So I got the news and I'm sharing it with Beanie, and I'm just like, she's like, "Oh, babe, that's awesome," you know. And I said, "Well, hold on a second. Like, I don't know what to do, right? Like I almost like kind of like snuffed out the excitement around this because it is a good problem to have. It is, right? So if I can step back and take this like objective view of the situation, it's a really good problem to have. However, in my mind, it just complicates things. Complicates and confuses. Now I'm overwhelmed. I don't know what to do. What's the right move? Am I going to make the right move? And it was just like, oh my gosh, I don't know what to do, right? And of course, the way that my brain works is like, I need this. I have to make the decision right now. I have to make the decision right now. So when we talk about getting stuck in those cycles, right? Like I got stuck in the fear, and confusion around like what do I do? And so like the other part of this, the other piece of this is the finances, right? Like I already don't make a lot of money. And if I go part time, I'm essentially cutting my finances in half. Until I can, get some things off the ground or, like, because the whole point, the original plan was part time, focus on the podcast, grow the coaching business. And there's a lot that I want to do with the podcast. There's a lot. I really want to grow. I want to invest. I feel like I'm barely doing the bare minimum right now, and I don't like that. I don't feel like it's fair to the sponsors of BAI for the show for what they're paying, and like I just, it's like I got this. I got this. I'm not doing enough. That's the tape in my head because there is more that I want to do. Right? I'm not posting like I normally do. I'm not posting on socials. It's and now I don't need to shame myself, right? And I feel like I've been doing what I can. My capacity's been kind of low, but the point of going part time is free up space. Free up space. Well, now it's funny though because I left that interview, thinking, whoa, man, I can make my own hours. Like I can work both jobs. I can work both jobs. Now I can, and I think for a little bit I will. It's just, guys, if I'm being completely honest with where I'm at right now, in this moment, in this chair, on this Friday afternoon, what do I want to do? My want in this situation is to take one of the jobs, not work both of the jobs, and focus on a podcast. I was laying in bed the other night, and this has happened to me more times than I can count. I was laying in bed the other night, and I was thinking, this is where I do all my best thinking. Raise your hand if you can notice that. Doing your best thinking when you're supposed to be trying to sleep. But I'm laying in bed, and I'm thinking, like, man, there's just so much that I want to do with the podcast. I really want to get back in. I really want to invest time in the podcast that I really, really want to do. And it was funny because the next day at work, one of our techs, Shannon, shout out to Shannon, she stopped me. We were both in the lunch, and she stopped me and she said, "Hey, Alex, like when you popped into the dorms earlier, like I was listening to your podcast." And she was like, "It was really cool. I've never been like listening to somebody, and then that person that I was listening to popped up in the same room." She was like, "That was really cool." And she was like, "Alex, I want to thank you for what you're doing with the show, and for what you're talking about on the show." She was like, "I'm kind of going through this. I just went to my boss here, and asked for part time." She's like, "I want to be, I'm doing this tattoo apprenticeship, and I want to dedicate more time to it. So I'm looking to go part time." And she was like, "So thank you, thank you. It's nice to know that like I'm not alone." And so I thank you. And it meant so much to me, especially because the irony is not lost on me of like the night before, I'm thinking, what do I really want to do? I want to do the podcast. And then the next day, right, God gives me some flowers around the podcast. And it's like, okay, like, and again, I have gotten these signs and these flowers more times than I can possibly count when it comes to the podcast. It's like anytime I'm unsure, or if I, is the podcast even doing anything, or I don't know what to do, like I get some kind of flower, whether it be an email, whether it be a text, a call, or somebody that I know in real life. I bump into them. They're like, "Dude, I've been listening, and I love it." Right? So it's like, okay, man. Now, if I work both jobs, the finances aren't as scary. Finances aren't as scary. I'm good. It'll be all right. Still get 3 days off a week if I work both jobs. One of them is for one of the jobs, like the commute round trip. It'll be almost a 3 hour drive round trip. The other one's 5 minutes down the road. And so here I am. I'm scared, right, because of the finances going part time, right? So I'll just stay full time. If I'll just work both jobs at full time, and that eases the financial fear. However, it doesn't do much for the capacity. It doesn't free up. I don't believe that it frees up much room for capacity.
Hey guys, I just want to take a minute to share something deeply personal and transformative in my journey of recovery. I've been where you might be right now, struggling with the weight of addiction and feeling lost. But there's a place that offered me a new beginning, a place I truly believe in. It's called Begin Again Institute. At Begin Again, they understand the deep-rooted trauma behind addiction. Their 14-day intensive program for men tackles the neurobiological aspects of addiction head-on. It's not just about breaking a habit. It's about understanding and healing the underlying trauma that formed it in the first place. And for those who have been impacted by betrayal, Begin Again extends care to partners of addicts too. Their partner support program is offered at no additional cost to the family and runs alongside the men's intensive. This program helps participants gain an understanding of the trauma they've experienced and sets them on their own path to healing. If you or someone you love are grappling with sexual addiction, pornography addiction, or intimacy issues, Begin Again Institute can be that pivotal step towards recovery and a new lease on life. Remember, you can't go back and change the past, but it's never too late to begin again. To learn more about their life-changing program, visit beginagaininstitute.com or call 720-776-9076 to reserve your spot in the next 2-week intensive. I promise, it'll be the best call that you ever make for yourself. Stay strong, keep fighting, and keep tuning in to No Lions Here for more conversations about recovery, resilience, and hope.
For what I want to do. I don't know though. I just know that it does help with the financial insecurity. Now, what I really need to do, this is what I really need to do. And I'm asking for I need guidance and I need courage in this, is to really break down the finances. I am an avoidant when it comes to finances. I'm an avoidant. And so I don't like looking at it. I'm afraid. Right? And it stands shame, guilt, those things are definitely involved, embarrassment. And the solution is to deep dive into my finances, deep dive in, see what's coming in and what's going out. Literally comb through the last month of my expenses and pull out all of the fixed ones. I've got a couple that I know, like car payment, car insurance. Like I know those. Those are set in stone. Those are what's coming out every month. Everything else is kind of hit or miss here or there, right? Now it helps that I just stopped nicotine, right? That I've been off nicotine for almost four months now at this point, right? So that's really good. That helps. Food is kind of food and gas. Those are kind of like the big ones for me. So again, the solution is, because what's happening though is I'm in my relationship, I'm sharing the fears and the anxieties, and that's all that I'm sharing, right? And that's taking a toll on her. That's causing anxiety in her. That's causing tapes to come up with her. Now, some of this is her work, right? But then I need to watch that, right? Because if I'm only sharing my insecurities and my fears, then that's all she's going to pick up on. Like the other day, we were talking, and she was just like, "What I hear, Alex, is that you're afraid to live with me. You don't want to live with me." And I said, "Well," I said, "that is so far from the truth. That is not the truth at all, right? Is it scary? Yes, it is. And I still want to do it. I still want to do this. I want to move in with you. I want to build a life with you. I want to build a life with your daughter. Again, I know those things. Those are the known things it's just the other things that are up in the air. And so I was actually talking to Jeff about this yesterday, and he was like, I was taking, oh, Jeff, this is what I think that I need right now, and this is the tape that I'm telling myself, and he was like, whoa, whoa, whoa. He's like, okay, thanks for sharing, man. Like, he said, Alex, this is what. A couple things though, actually. Prior to yesterday's conversation, let's go back about a week. I want to go back about a week. Talking to Jeff again, and he said something to me which like really helped me out a lot. And so I was talking about like getting stuck. So here I am, right? Going to make the move, right? That's going to happen. Get offered this second job. So now I'm kind of torn. What do I do? Do I work both jobs? Do I work one job? What do I do? And I'm stuck. Right? I'm stuck. I'm stuck. And so in this stuckness, all I can do is talk about the fear and what it's doing to me and what I'm afraid of, um, and sometimes I'm stuck. And so I was talking to Jeff, and he could see it. And he goes, Alex, he's like, this is a big deal. Like, we can give credit and let's acknowledge that, like, hey man, what you're dealing with, the move, the figuring out the jobs, like, yeah, dude, these are big deals. These are big deals. We don't want to minimize them. He said, and you're a big boy. You're a grown, badass man, Alex. Hearing that from him, there was a shift. Oh, it was kind of almost like, oh, yeah, he's right. Like, yeah, this is a big deal, and I'm a big boy, and I'm going to deal with it, and I'm going to move through it. And so, like, just hearing that, right? And this is why it's so important, right, to find the community and to surround yourself with people that believe in you and that are not emotionally connected to what you're going through, right? Like, and that's where like some of the stuff with Beanie comes into play is like I'm looking at what I'm sharing with her, and she's so emotionally connected with me in a good way, right? That's good, and that of course me sharing my fears are going to bring up her own fears, and now we've got two people that are both kind of stuck in these fears. We're not really coming together on these things. We're kind of apart in them, and like. And that's tough, man. That drives this wedge in between us, and like we've definitely kind of felt it a little bit in our relationship. So then that brings me to my conversation that I had with Jeff yesterday. Again, head boiling, kind of like you can burn an egg on my forehead, and like the gears are spinning, and I'm trying to figure this out, and I just don't know what to do. And I feel like I need to have this conversation and this conversation, and then we got to have some hard conversations. And Jeff was like, Alex, like he's like, I don't think that you need to do 100 dry runs. He was like, I think you're gonna do this. I think Alex, what you need to do is you need to lean on your guys. Lean on your guys. Come to us with your fears and your anxieties, right? Like it's okay for me to share them in my relationship as well, but bring them to us, Alex. Bring them to the guys, to the boys. Let us help you with those, because he said it's. And sure, this is. And I said, oh yeah, man, this is bringing up the insecurities in her, and it was like I felt really bad because like the last thing that I want to do is make her feel lonely. And that's essentially what has been happening with things is like she feels this sense of loneliness within the relationship. It's I don't want to make her feel like that. Now, are there going to be times where that happens? Sure. It's a relationship. I'm a flawed human being. There's times where maybe I'm going to feel lonely in this too. And I know that she supports me, and I know that she loves me, and I want to make sure that she knows the same about me too. I love her, and that I support her as well. And so yeah, it's so that again another really great conversation that I had with Jeff was again like, Alex, one, you're grown up, dude. You're gonna move through this, and it's gonna be okay, right? And two, instead of dry running these conversations, setting it up, because essentially I'm looking to do these dry runs so that I can get some reassurance of like, hey, you're going to sort of support me. You're going to support me, instead of like, hey, because then all that does is that then causes future tripping within her and within me, and anxious and fear, and oh god, we're screwed. Instead of like doing it real time, like having those conversations in real time, being where your feet are, because Jeff said something to that extent yesterday too. Is like, hey Alex, like be where your feet are, right? Like there's no need to dry run, right? You guys love each other. You guys support each other. You're going into this, right? Be where your feet are, right? It comes up, but it all has to do with finances, man. That's like where the fears of mine lie. Is like, am I going to have enough to, because I really want to. Like I really want to go part time. I want to invest in the podcast. Like I really want to grow this thing. I want to get back to getting guests on and maybe learning some new editing techniques and just putting out more content, more being more consistent with it, right? And to me, I want to simplify. I want to simplify the life. I want to simplify my approach. To me, that looks like again part time, okay, part time work, full time help around the house, full time podcast. And so Jeff sent something out to us the other day. I'm going to read this. This was really good, and this like is me, and it is him as well. I know you guys have heard me share about like the mother enmeshment stuff, right? And this is kind of like this just made so much sense. And this was out of a book. I believe it's When He's Married to Mom. He has no hard edge with which to take action. He doesn't seem to have the ability to endure the uncertainty of transitions to move ahead in his life. Again, he has no hard edge with which to take action. He doesn't seem to have the ability to endure the uncertainty of transitions to move ahead in his life. So, like, Jeff sent that out, and like I called him and was like, "Why are you attacking me?" He was confused. He didn't realize it was a joke at first. But I was like, "Oh man!" Like, it's one of those things where like. So you're into this, you're doing recovery, and things are going well, and then the next thing you know, you're kind of like hit in the face with something else that, like maybe you need to work on, or maybe something that's bubbling up there, and like it's dang it, now it's time for me to work on this, and so that's kind of how I felt when I heard that, and also too, like that made so much sense to me, like no hard edge to take action. Oh my, ugh, that. Like in all honesty, like I feel dirty with shame when I read that or when I hear that. Like, and I've seen this in my life so many times all over my life is like no hard edge to take a definitive action right now, right? As I'm sitting here, as I'm talking to you guys, I'm saying, what do I want? This is what I want to do. I want to go part time, and I want to invest in the podcast. I want to go part time. I want to invest in my home life with my family, aka where I live, and the podcast. I struggle with saying, where I struggle is, okay, I see that, right? I see that, and I believe that if I were to do that, I believe that God, well, I struggle with the faith in this. Okay, yep. I struggle full-heartedly saying, I believe that God's going to take care of me. I can say it. Do I actually feel it, right? Where's my faith right now? Guys, I'm going to be honest. Maybe I'm struggling a little bit with it, right? Because I'm making this is all onto me. So as I'm sitting here saying I want to do this, I have the opportunity to do this, I can't just simply do it. I say that I want it. However, I can't simply just do it. I can't just say, okay, you know what? This is what I'm going to do, and I'm committing to it. To me, what I see here is that lack of hard edge in myself, and that lack of, because up until this point, God has blessed me, God has provided for me, and yet like I have all of this data that shows me that like God is going to provide for me. And again, I'm like, man, well, so like I do have this belief that like I'm gonna be okay and that things are gonna be comfortable. And again, this is all around finances too, right? And I know that I'm so much more than that, right? And I bring way more to the table, and I do believe that the podcast is going to pay off. The coaching business, like Ricky and I are in some talks about starting some things up. Like I believe that like I'm gonna be doing these things, and that these things will provide a way of life for me and a comfortable living for me. I believe in myself in that too. Like I believe that I have it in me. I believe that I have the charisma and I believe it, and I lack to make the decision to move forward. Now, granted, I do want to give myself some grace here, and that this is a leap. this is a pretty big leap, right? It's not like there's only a 2 foot, 3 foot gap. But man, I crossed that no problem, right? But the gap's a little bit bigger. I'm a little bit afraid, and I'm reminded of like anytime we take the leaps that we're terrified of doing. I feel like there's got to be so many people out there. It was cool. I was actually talking to I'll call her my sister-in-law, Paige. She's my brother's girlfriend. They've been together for like 5 or 6 years. Sister-in-law, but her and I were talking about it over Thanksgiving, and she's like, Alex, you know how many people like want to do that and will never do it? She's like, me included. She was like, look, she works for Google, and she's like, she wants out of the rat race. She makes jewelry, and she's like, yeah, I would love to, get back into jewelry making full time. She's like, I recently had somebody reach out to me and say, hey, I'd like to get some of your jewelry. You're making it into jewelry. And she was like, no, but so many people are afraid to take that risk and to take that jump. And like I can relate to that. Yeah, I'm afraid of that, and I've got that opportunity in front of me. I've got the opportunity to make the jump, to make the leap, and I'm so afraid to take the leap. So afraid. So I ask for prayers. I ask for prayers out there. If anybody has any advice or suggestions, like please feel free to reach out. nolionshere@gmail.com. Again, that's nolionshere@gmail.com. I'd love to hear from you. So, for the time being, it's it's the end of November. Go part-time at IRC December 21st, and then I'm supposed to start the second job in January, pending the background, right? And I'm background with a non-violent criminal. So that's like kind of where I'm at. Just this this balance or whatever between I don't know, being scared and excited, right? Going between, okay, hey, like this is I'll figure this out, versus like I gotta figure this out in the moment, right? That's kind of like one extreme to the next, right? Like, as I'm sitting here and I'm talking about it, right? Like I could totally do both full-time jobs, work on the podcast, right? Hustle, grind, and like I don't know, it just sounds really exhausting. It's essentially going to be 3 full-time jobs, and I just don't know if I have that in me. I just don't know. Because on top of that, I need to be taking care of myself. There's some self-care that like I've really wanted to partake in, right? I want to get into the gym, and I don't know, I think for me, and I know my limits. I know when I'm pushing things too hard. It's not what I want to do. So I don't know. I'm going to continue to pray. I'm going to continue to, talk to my guys. I've kept up with, it's the end of November. Definitely been keeping up with, writing these letters to God. And I'll be honest, I missed one night. It was last week. I missed one night that I did not write a letter to God. Other than that, though, like I've been writing these letters, man, and like I really like it. Again, it's nothing mind blowing. I'm not burning bushes aren't popping up around me. God's not coming down from the heaven. It's a little bit more dedicated time for my higher power. That's kind of how I like to look at it. And some nights it's a full page, and maybe it's a full 2 pages that I'm writing, and then some nights it's a couple paragraphs. Kind of depends on where I'm at that day. Yeah, it's funny too because you also tell that I haven't written anything in a long time. My handwriting's pretty terrible. My brain moves too fast. My hand doesn't move fast. But as far as so I get to ask myself this question, right? It's like, okay, Alex, like, what can you do today about it? What can you do today? And honestly, like the answer for me today is there's nothing, right? For me today, the challenge is to be present with the family. So we've got second Thanksgiving tomorrow. Beanie had to work for my family's Thanksgiving, so she had to work, so she was doing that, which, all good. No problem. And so tomorrow we've got our family stuff, so we're going to do some cooking today. We've got some pies to make some desserts. I'm going to try my hand at a pretzel salad. I love pretzel salads. Crushed pretzels, the strawberry jello, the Cool Whip, cream cheese. Now here's the problem, though. Here's what I have a problem with, though. Here's where my biggest problem today is, in this moment, is that I went to 3 different grocery stores today, all out of strawberries. All out. Three different grocery stores. First world problems. No strawberries. No strawberries. But it's okay. I'm gonna do strawberry jello and like a little some raspberries. So we'll see how it goes. Either way, it should be pretty good. But essentially, that's my that's my dilemma for today. But that's what I want to do. Blues play a little later today, so I want to sit down and watch that game. Cowboys beat the Chiefs yesterday. Good stuff. I am not a Kansas City Chiefs fan. If that causes you to unsubscribe, so be it. That's a hill that I'm willing to die on. The Packers won, Chiefs lost. I'm happy. But yeah, so getting back on the podcast, guys. So yeah, I feel good. Again, these are good problems to have. These are kind of forcing me to get a little bit out of my comfort zone. And so that's exactly what I'm going to do. So, as always, guys, definitely, like I shared earlier in the podcast, definitely go like and subscribe to the socials, man. Like it helps me out a whole lot. Especially with trying to build, man. Like I want to build, I want to push. So what I ask is subscribe and then share this with a friend or two or three or four or five. Like go share, guys, please. That would really really help me out a whole lot. Really really would. And as always, go check out our sponsor, Begin Again Institute. Their information will be in the description below. So definitely make sure you go check them out. As always, if there's any topics that you'd like to hear or you just want to connect, you can please reach out. My email is nolionshere@gmail.com. Again, that is nolionshere@gmail.com. And again, guys, looking at getting the coaching business off the ground. So if you're interested in some recovery coaching services, definitely please reach out. Again, nolionshere@gmail.com. Put coaching in the subject line so I can know where to kind of file these things at. But again, guys, we're looking at, next year, the start of the new year, just like going really hard on the podcast. Like right now, that's what I want to do. That's where I want to focus my time. I want to push this thing, guys, because I truly believe in the message, and I know that we can help a lot of people. And that's where it comes the liking, the subscribing, the sharing, right? Like that helps me accomplish this mission. So thank you guys so much. I really appreciate you guys listening and joining me on my journey. Yeah, keep coming back. It works if you work it, and you're worth it.